We are talking all about money today, taking a look at the winners and losers in President Trump's first federal budget proposal. Also, we'll take a look at the growing cannabis industry. It may have more potential than you think. And we'll find out why small business owners in Colorado say they are feeling good about the future. I'm Andrew Friedson, and welcome to Politics Unplugged. Pallets of federal budget books were delivered to the nation's capital this past week. President Trump's first budget proposal since taking office, and both sides pointing out it's just a proposal at this point and will likely be changed greatly before a budget passes through Congress.
This is not a budget that takes on the political establishment. This is a budget of the political establishment. This is the Robin Hood principle in reverse. You take from the poor and you give to the very rich.
For 8 years, President Obama presented a budget, which was a proposal, and got 0 votes in the United States Senate or the United States House. It's fair to say we're going to continue that trend.
I might get one too, Senator.
You might get one, but it won't be mine.
Well, here to talk about that proposal is economics professor Andrew Friedson from the University of Colorado at Denver. Thank you so much for being here,
and thanks
Dr.
for having
Friedson. So this was the president's first effort at this. Overall, what'd you think?
It's a pretty crazy budget. It's a gigantic departure from everything that we've seen probably over the last 2 presidents, if not further back. It's also riddled with some pretty stark errors in terms of the accounting that have been pointed out by a lot of prominent economists and budget makers.
I know that, we all know that this will change. And truthfully, we don't know who to believe when we hear both sides taking this budget to task. So, but we do know that one aspect of this budget definitely favors the rich. Explain that.
Yeah, so the budget has tremendous tax reform in it, which is largely aimed, as you've mentioned, towards the wealthy. So the one tax reform bone that's thrown to the middle and pretty much everyone else who pays their taxes is a slight increase in the standard deduction. So this will put about $1,000 back in everybody's pocket. But the rest of the budget, in terms of the tax reform, is all put on the hyper-wealthy. And when we're talking about the hyper-wealthy, we're talking about reforms to things like the alternative minimum tax, which is paid by less than 1% of the population, the estate tax, which is paid by people who are bequeathing over $5 million in assets. These are things that land squarely on the shoulders of the hyper-rich.
And so when you say hyper-rich?
I mean hyper-rich. I mean, you have to be making over $200,000 to even be thinking about calculating the alternative minimum tax.
Okay, so we know that defense also is getting a boost. Explain.
Yeah, so there's an additional 50-something billion dollars annually in there for the defense budget. In addition to that, there's probably another $4 or $5 billion in there for Homeland Security. It's a lot of money. All of the other cuts combined in discretionary spending, so this is money that goes to federal agencies, don't even add up to the increase in the Defense Department alone.
Yeah, so that's huge. I know that there were some other areas where some big cuts were anticipated, and one that might be near and dear to your heart, higher ed, facing cuts. So talk about that impact to our colleges and universities, and how does that trickle down to students?
Oh, it's not good for students. It's really not good for pretty much anyone. So, yeah, the Education Department is taking big cuts in terms of money that can be spent. The big loser is students. The loan forgiveness programs are getting redone in such a way that there's this 10-year federal loan forgiveness that if you go from your education into the public sector or into nonprofit work, that you can enter into this federal loan forgiveness program that over 10 years you will work off your debt regardless of how much that is. And they're completely getting rid of that. So if you're a student who has aimed themselves towards public administration or nonprofit administration with the idea that this is going to be covered by the federal loan forgiveness program, you've had the rug completely pulled out from under you by this budget.
I think we've also been hearing a lot of people talk about cuts to Medicaid and how that would affect them. So what are you reading into this?
Yeah, the biggest loser here is state budget offices. So effectively what the federal government is trying to do is wash their hands of the Medicaid program completely. They're trying to cap the amount that can be paid. So essentially the budget proposal is saying whatever the American Health Care Act does, this is the Republican proposal that passed the House of Representatives, this is what we're going with. And what's been done with Medicaid is saying the amount of federal dollars is going to be fixed, and then states are on their own to figure out what to do. And the amount of federal dollars is not going to grow as healthcare costs grow. So every single state, one by one, their individual budgets are going to have to deal with the fact that they can't afford Medicaid, and they're either going to have to kick people off, cut generosity of benefits, or raise taxes to deal with this.
I know the Trump administration is saying a lot of the cuts would be made up through economic growth, and you're already talking about funny math here. I think we even heard somebody else call it Bernie Madoff math. Explain that for those of us who, we saw the big pile of budget here.
It's really not hard to understand.
What does this mean?
So there's two issues with the budget proposal. One is funny math that everybody does, and one is funny math that I or any economics professor would fail you for. So one is they're being overly generous with the growth projection. They're saying that we're going to have 3% economic growth when for the past 10 years we've seen about 2%. The other part of this is they're double counting the savings from cuts and from what they think this growth is going to give us. So they're saying they're going to cut taxes and it's going to generate this growth that's going to give us a ton of money, and then they're spending that money on defense and counting it twice. So they're saying we're going to lose tax revenues, we're going to have growth, and we're going to spend additional money, but they're only counting the negative once and they're counting the positive twice, but it's the same positive. So it's +1 -1, but what they're trying to say is, oh no, we can count this twice, and they can't.
Okay, so how much, as we talk about this budget overall, how much of this do you think we would actually see come to fruition?
It's really hard to tell because the House and the Senate is really controlled by a lot of deficit hawks who want to slash spending and want to cut taxes to the wealthy with the idea that this is going to generate economic growth. Now, we'll step aside from whether or not that actually does. You can pull GDP data and you can pull tax data, and I challenge anyone out there to try to find a relationship between those two things. I haven't been able to find it, but it's publicly available and you can try to do it yourself.
Have you seen that budget? Yes, you have. All right. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate
you
trying to help us dissect this and have a better understanding of it. Thank you. When we come back, we're talking about small business, so stick around.